welcome to the Leeds Testers Gathering. I do apologise, it feels like nobody's here because I can't see a jack over there. Sorry about the corners and the interesting shape of the room, but for the first time ever we've got the projector up in a reliable spot and we're going to record it. Is it in HD? Fantastic, being recorded in HD. I did write it well there, you're going online and everything. So, hands up if you're a newbie to the Leeds Testers Gathering. Great, that's really good to see some newbies. Essentially, Leeds Testers Gathering was conceived about, God, it must be 6 years ago now. It's quite a long-running testing gathering, which happens every, sometimes 2 months, sometimes 3 months, sometimes 4 months, depends on when someone organises it. It was typically run I think the first ones were like a group of 10, and we've had up to 100 depending on the speakers. Obviously it's terrible today, so we've got a few less.
That's before you see it.
So no, it's massive, thank you to the speakers for volunteering to bring this information, because it is absolutely the best thing that you can possibly do as a tester. You should absolutely get to as many events as you can. It's great for your personal development. Please continue, not just this one, but things like Test Bash in Manchester, which 1010 have sponsored this one. We're sponsoring Test Bash in Manchester, but these things are not just about that kind of thing, it's about getting out and visiting testers. So, talking of sponsorship, we have sponsored it this time. We are looking for sponsors. Unfortunately, the sponsor that was due to sponsor this one decided to pull out at the very last minute, so we stepped in and sponsored it. Jerks. Don't think the jerks are in the room, so it's fine.
Put more figure out.
So just going on from that, so if you are interested in sponsoring, even if you're an independent contractor who wants to get their name in lights or anything like that, please feel free to sponsor the gathering. Even if it's a part sponsorship or anything, everything's required. Really welcome. We need to buy pizzas, buy a few beers. It'd be great to put on as much as we can. So we're going to start off today with Stephen Burton from EMIS. He's going to talk about automated test environments set from 7 days to 1 click, I believe. Which is something like that, which is pretty amazing. We're then going to have pizza and the chance to get some more drinks, probably for about 20 minutes. I think with the speakers, if they say please ask questions during the speech, please feel free to do so. If they say I'd rather just talk at you because I'm that kind of guy, please feel free to do that. Secondly, we've got Gav Winter and Markus Albrecht doing what has Pokemon Go taught us about quality and testing. I know what it's taught me about trying to get hold of my 11-year-old daughter, running around the streets looking for Pokemon. It's actually going to be a bit of a workshop, so it's about 20 minutes talking, 20 minutes of a workshop, and so I'm told it's a deep learning experience. What? Okay. Sorry, you'll probably see when you look at your own slides. So these guys have actually organised the Leeds Attila. I know what it means, I just can't say it. It is a great event. Could anyone who's actually a speaker there just stand up, please? Or if you, brilliant, good stuff. Anyone else? You've got a couple of speakers, brilliant. So these guys obviously have got some great testing knowledge, and it would be amazing if go and chat to them. I'm sure they'd be excited to talk to you about the Atelier, and as will Markus and Ash and Gwen as well. And is it all booked up?
Yeah, sold out.
Fully sold out, brilliant.
105
people
signed up.
So again, it's another great test event which is worthwhile getting to. And I think you're going to keep doing it every year, I imagine.
Every 6 months.
Every 6 months, it's that sold out. Yeah. So that's great. So, okay. And then finally, we're going to have a lightning talk from Shiv Ballard. Do you want to stand up, Shiv? Is there room for in the current market for a new testing methodology? And if that methodology was delivered by a man with great hair, would that be better? So, without further ado, Stephen, would you like to give Stephen a round of applause for...
Okay, hi everyone. So I'm Steve Burton, as he says, I'm a principal software engineer in tests. Hands up if you're software engineers and tests here. Oh, okay. More than I thought there'd be. That's good. So I work for EMIS. I don't know how many of you have heard of us. It's not going to be a corporate thing, but we're basically medical software. So we look after mainly GPs, but also other areas of healthcare as well. And we like to innovate software with that. So my main area of focus is test automation. So that's sort of what I care about. That's what I was working on. But as part of my role in EMIS, I manage the test environments team as well. And we look after the whole estate for environments. So this is about bringing the test automation skills into your environment. So if you go back 3 years, this is what we used to have. So that was our test environments team, how they did the environment creation. Basically, it was a lot of manual work and it took a really long time. That was what the Scrum team ended up looking like because they waited for their environments to be created for a long time. What happens is projects get delayed, caused by environments, test environments even get blamed. Pretty annoying, very frustrated project managers. So, to put some stats behind that, these were the timings that we used to have. So as you can see, that's for every environment that we want to create. Now it's important to say that we have really complex environments. Our products are very complex and how you configure them, and we've got a lot of different ones interacting in different ways. But still, that's obviously unacceptable, especially when you've got an estate of hundreds of environments that you need. So, what we now have is that's how you create an environment, and the Scrum team does the creation of the environment, followed by that's what we do now. So they weren't very happy with me using that picture. So basically they're just there to maintain the process and improve the process and activate for the environments. Consequently, projects, it's never an issue, the environments anymore, honestly. And that's project managers, which incidentally looks exactly like all the project managers we have. So the stats behind that now, this is what we end up with. Basically we're down from 10 days to 2 hours to create any environment we want. So how have we done that? So the first thing we needed to do was choose the right technology. When we got the technology, we broke down the steps that we used to do manually to find out what things to target first that took the most time. Then finally we simply did a lot of trial and error and learning how to use the technology, testing different things out, testing. So, how did we choose the technology? So the attributes we were looking for were mainly these. Which is really awkward, by the way, because I like to paste using it. I can't see anything if I move. So that's the main attributes that we were looking for in the technology that we use. So there was 3 market-leading virtualization technologies at the time, and they still really are the market leaders today, which was those 3. And we ended up choosing System Center. I won't go into details as to why, unless someone asks me later. It's really interesting. But that's basically what we ended up choosing. So then after that, we had to break down the steps that we wanted to do manually. So what steps did we end up with? So the first one is the creation of the physical environment itself. So that's the biggest thing we had to do. Then it's installing the operating system onto it, got different flavor. Installing the database software that you're going to use. Installing any other software, .NET, anything else you might use. You're using smart cards and identity agents and things like that. Say what you see, mounting the databases. Come on. That's the best joke thing. Configuration of the databases, and that's deployment of the software into the environment. So, first thing we had was the physical environment. So how do you go about doing that for the first step? So within System Center, there is a component called Orchestrator, and basically that allows us to do all the scripting. So what it allows us to do By the way, show of hands again. Who here has used System Center before? I'm just intrigued. Josh saw. Is that at EMIS?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Just checking. Okay, so what it allows you to do is create flowcharts. So you can basically do an action, make a decision based on that, and then do another action. So there's a load of different steps you can use as an action, including all four. People who've done PowerPoints will know how long that takes to do. So to create the physical environment, the first thing we do is we create some virtual machine templates. So these things basically allow you to select hardware, the operating system, SQL Server configuration, including any kind of features you might want, things like that. And you wrap them all into a template, and then you can literally just deploy one of those as an individual virtual machine. So we take all those and we put them into a service template. So these service templates indicate you might have a particular tier that corresponds to the applications or the databases on your environment, for example. And then you choose how many virtual machines you want to have in that tier, and so on. So this basically ends up being your infrastructure for your environment. So then using this step, you can simply deploy an infrastructure environment already done. And that has already saved us 4 days, 23 hours, just in doing that. So the next biggest thing that we had was doing all the configuration stuff. So the first part, database configuration we had to do. Certification for Stein, things like that. That's web services, so we had to, that's configuring IIS and things like that. And software installation. So to do those, we can use a number of different steps. So execute SQL allows us to execute any SQL on any database with any permissions. Run program allows you to execute any executables. You can write your own executables and execute them, or installation things, for example. With any arguments passed into it as well, it's really powerful. And execute PowerShell, which is another powerful one. It's actually execute any .NET script, but the C# is terrible on it. So we end up using PowerShell quite a lot because it's quite an easy language to do very small scripts in. It's very powerful. So with that, because you can run any script, you can pretty much do anything you want. So using those steps to do all the configuration, that's the timings that we save from doing the configuration steps. So because I come from a developer background and I'm a software engineering test, I wanted to do this stuff in the same kind of way that we would create our code. So I wanted it to be maintainable, I wanted it to be scalable. So there's certain rules that we chose to apply to the way we did these. So the first thing is we've got child and top level runbooks. So we've got different kinds of runbooks for different things. So a child runbook is responsible for doing logging here and returning data to the top level. It has to return a boolean that indicates whether it's passed or failed. And it can return other things depending on what it's supposed to be doing. But the important thing is it returns success. We use global variables where possible. So if we want to change anything, obviously it's very easy to change it. We're just using it as one variable. And these are top level runbooks. So a top level runbook can only inform the user of things. That's what that's doing there. So it's informing the user whether it's failed the entire thing and it's succeeded. They can perform little logic things, which are basically either setting variables in this case, or making decisions and then doing something based on that. Or they can call child inputs, and that's the only thing they can do. So you end up with quite a lot of inputs. I think we probably have about 500 different runbooks. to do all this stuff over them. Because this will be a child which will then probably call in all the other children and so on and so on. So it's a big undertaking.
Yeah.
So when we've got the service in place and we've got all the configuration, we next have to allow the users to use these. So the top level ones are what we want the users to be able to deploy because they're the ones that give the users their environments. So we created a tool to do this. Now we could have used natively, it has a website and it has a web service, but orchestrated web service is terrible, to be honest. I was going to put pictures on here, but it's really dull because it's literally just a blank grey screen and a list of things and literally just click on it. So if you're going to deploy an environment, you can imagine the amount of configuration things you have to put into that. You have to know all that text there at the time. So that didn't work for us. So we created a tool to do it. So literally, for a Scrum team now, this is what they do. They click deploy, they choose the environment they want to deploy, and they fill in the details for it. And then they click go, and then they have a history that simply shows them success, failure, and from that they can view a log and stuff like that as they go on. So immediately that's taken the bottleneck out of the team as well, which is another big thing that we want to get out of this. So other things we've got that having our own tool enables us to put in is things such as quotas. So unless you're, I don't know, Google possibly, then you're always going to have a quota for the amount of environments the teams can use because you're always going to have a limited budget, you're always going to have a limited capacity in your hardware, so you need some way of controlling that. And when you've got a department of 250 people, then you need a way to limit how many each team has. So we use quotas for that. So a team will get a number of different. We have detailed information for everything. So as a testing environment team, managing all the environments, we know what every environment's being used for, we know what's on it, and we know who's using it. So if there's something, an issue with it, we need to contact them. And we allow users to delete their own environments as well and edit them through other things that we create because we've got our own tool. So that's the time saved that we've got from the deployment setup as well. So you see it's 5 minutes. It's probably less than that actually at the time, probably 1 minute. So we've had this running for probably a year and a half now, something like that. So we've been able to concentrate on a number of different improvements to it, to the process and extra things that we've done. So these are just a couple of big examples. So what's that? It's a lot, thank you. Yes. So it's a very simple thing, it sounds easy, but in this kind of thing it's not that easy to do. So basically, every deployment that happens creates its own log. So it creates its own file, generates its file name. That file name is passed down through every runbook, so that's another rule that we've implemented. Then child runbooks are responsible for putting information, warnings or errors into everything. And then based on that, the log is sent out afterwards as an email to the user who's kicked it up. And they can view that in real time and update it in real time as well. So another one is the maintenance things that we've got. So we've got a number of different, as you can imagine, we've got a state of about 700 virtual machines that we manage. There's 4 people in that team. So it's quite a big thing to have to do. So we couldn't do a lot of the maintenance we do without using this kind of thing. So a few examples are, we run a report to let us know everything that's happening with it, and so if there's any environments that aren't used anymore or anything like that, because otherwise we have to check through it and we don't really have to. So creation of tickets, this is quite new. So we access a service desk as well, so we're obviously the ones that the users will talk to for an issue in their environment. So we allow them to log tickets directly from the tool that we've got so that we know all the details of the environment issue and stuff like that. And as an automated tester, this is a really important one to me because we have a process where a Scrum team can deploy an environment, make a load of changes to the databases, and then they run something, and that basically tells us to back them up. That database then gets used for all new environment deployments going forward. So for automated testing, it's fantastic because you have static data on every environment that you know absolutely is going to be there. So that's really useful. So we could, that's got nothing to do with this. So because we've got it done, we could sort of rest on this, rest on laurels and see how it goes. But obviously there's a lot of other things that nothing that we've done. We're continuously improving this, so there's things we can do. So a couple of ones that we want to concentrate on. Reliability. Everything that we use is reliable. So it's pretty reliable now, but we're always dependent on the hardware that we've got ultimately. And we don't provide the actual hardware that we're using first. So we often work around things. So an example is that, so if you try to deploy a physical environment and it fails, it will delete it and try it again. And we've got that on counter, so we allow it for it to fail. So things like that we do to work around the issues that we have. And continuous integration is a really big one that we're trying to get the environment deployment. So if you've got a particular automated test that you want to run on an environment overnight, whenever you want to run them, you should be able to have the choice of deploying an environment, setting that environment, doing what you want every time you do it automatically. So that's what we're trying to get. So, in conclusion, I basically just wanted to give the message that automation is not just about test automation, it's a state of mind, and you can apply those things to any other thing. The environment is just being one example. So think outside the box, and learn is must.
So, my name is Gav Winter. I've been a consultant, a tester for quite a long time now, longer than one cares to admit. So, co-organiser of the Leeds Testing Atelier next week, as Gav rightly alluded to. It's a brilliant day. Unfortunately, there's waitlist only, but get involved if you can. It's a fantastic day to collaborate with testers in Leeds. Markus and I have come here today to talk about a recent phenomenon. See, when you think of like a global phenomenon, I always think about the infrastructure behind it and the challenges that must have been there in order to deliver it. So this has always been a fascinating project to me. And I think it's worthy of our note from a quality point of view and a testing point of view to look at the lessons that it's taught. So I'm going to hand over to Markus. He's going to introduce himself and then he's going to take us through a little bit of the history of Pokemon Go, just in case you don't know what it is.
Okay, so, I'm Markus Albrecht. Similar to Ash, been a dirty contractor and been in testing for quite a number of years, both here and in New Zealand. We'll get to that later. And so yeah, we'll just launch into the wonderful world of Pokemon Go. So first of all, I just want you to all raise your hands if you've ever played, one hand if you've ever played Pokemon Go. Okay, cool. And then a second hand if you're still playing Pokemon Go. Alright, cool. So, Friends. Alright, so just keep them up so I can, because I'm going to pick one of you out. Come on, everyone. There was more people. Come on, still up. One hand, two hands. Come on.
Two hands.
Alright,
you're still playing.
Right. So, you sir. Obviously you're not playing anymore. Why so?
Partly because they kept removing features from the game, and partly because it's getting boring.
Fair play. We're going to cover one of those things a little bit later. And people who are still playing?
I live on top of the boat, so you know.
Oh. Okay, cool. So, what team are you? What team are you?
The other one.
Ooh, a dangerous choice. A dangerous choice. Yeah. Okay, excellent. And have you caught anything today?
Yeah.
What have you caught?
No,
I can't do anything. So what? Weedles, Zubats, and drowsy, all that. Yeah, okay, cool. And lastly, favourite best Pokemon?
I actually played it the previous time when it first came out.
Oh, right.
So this has been like a really
Okay. Oh, well, yeah. That's the thing. Not that many people have Pikachus, even though, like, you know, not generally very, you know, good CP, but it's nice. Right. So, a pretty brief history on Pokemon. So, Niantic, the company that makes Pokemon, was originally, as you can see there, a former Google subsidiary. And in 2012, they created a game called Ingress. Now, that's actually provided the initial platform for Pokemon Go. You'll be able to see a lot of that if you ever play both games, because a lot of the locations that are Pokestops are also portals, so they've been able to leverage that quite nicely in order to sort of bring out a brand new game that everyone seems a lot more interested in than the Ingress ever did. It's been a beta release in Japan, also Australia and New Zealand. New Zealand bloke. Then it was rolled out to Germany, the USA, and also the UK. Unfortunately, this is when things started to go a little bit wrong. So we'll move on now to looking at some of the issues that Pokemon Go faced when it first came out. The first major one that sort of happened was app freezing. A lot of people were playing the game, the app would freeze, they'd lose the Pokemon they had, they'd all spend a lot of time, a lot of Pokeballs, lose a lot of items. Not generally that great.
So in terms of relating it back to commonly held thinking about quality, especially in the mobile space as well, is that a lot of times you're told if you build an app and a user installs it and it crashes straight away, you've lost it. You know, you've broken that bond between the user and the app. So generally, you kind of think it is you crash and you burn. You deleted and never thought about it again. But in Pokemon Go, that didn't really happen. People just kept on playing. So kept on launching, kept on crashing, and completely went against that initial heuristic of mobile app quality.
So the second major problem that I seemed to experience was some of the scaling problems that they had. So there were times when people were playing the game, they get kicked out. In the worst case scenario, there was one particular day where it all went horribly south and people just couldn't play it for a whole entire day, which you just assume would be at death.
One of the critical things about scale is, it's great to scale, we talk about it a lot of the applications we build now, but getting the markets that you need, while the idea is hot, while the idea is hot, is you can balance that against scalability. So if it's all very well being able to scale massively, but if you can't hit the markets in time, then is that level of quality really necessary? So on that basis, when I thought about this problem in terms of relating it back to overall quality, timing is a quality criteria. As testers, we try and hit levels of quality that are not decided by us. It's decided by whether or not the market is ready for that product and whether or not the level of quality is acceptable to attain the level of benefit.
Another major problem that we had, which we've just covered before, is there was a lot of poorly designed features in the initial release of Pokemon Go. The removal of the 3 paw-print functionality was a major one. So the 3 paw-print functionality essentially identified when there were Pokemon nearby and gave you a bit of an indication as to where you might want to walk around to try and find them. So when this didn't work very well, it was very resource intensive, and when it didn't play, there's a lot of people who were rather upset about it. Similarly also with the battery save mode, we'll talk a bit more about battery drain later on, but obviously an app these days that doesn't have any kind of battery save mode is kind of a bit of a problem, given modern smartphones generally tend to die pretty quickly most of the time.
So I think when I thought about this sort of abundance of features at launch versus quality, I think it kind of takes me back to a fairly old idea that they're focusing on core idea, which in Pokemon Go's case was geolocation and augmented reality, rather than having lots of other features such as battery saver modes which were imperfect. So instead of focusing on the core ideas, which are the things that made it compelling, then it feels to me like they place emphasis in other areas where more quality could have been gained if they would have just done the few things that made the app compelling really well.
And on to battery drain. So, Pokemon Go requires not only for the app to be running in the foreground, it also requires for a lot of your general day-to-day usings of it, so you're visiting your Pokestops, you're catching your Pokemon, you're catching events, all requires the screen to be on. Now, as any of you who own a smartphone will know, that is basically just phone death. You're guaranteed that you'll go out for a whole day, as it says there, 100% battery, time for Pokemon Go, and it's gone. So, really not particularly useful in terms of a modern smartphone.
So we got the Dojin. Got to get the Dojin. So again, when this sort of battery drain problem became evident, a strange thing happened. People started buying things to augment their battery instead of not using the app anymore. So it wasn't a case of, the quality of this is really poor, I'm going to stop using it. Actually, it was more a case of, how can I augment this thing in order to achieve the things that I want to achieve? That makes me think that the quality is composite. So the app is part of a wider system. From the back end, how that data is provided, all the way to the client, and then beyond the client as well. So in terms of extra batteries, and they've seen all kinds of weird and wonderful power packs and screen aids and all kinds of things. Sorry, Glenn.
I've got a 27,000 milliamp battery because you really need it.
So you can remove an app thing.
So alright, we'll show you it later. It's fine.
So you can remove and add things in order to achieve the level of quality that you want from something, as long as your idea is compelling enough. So I think this is kind of one of the critical points of this.
Isn't that the all and end all of any app? If it's going to sell well, then your app, nobody knows how an app is going to be, whether it's going to be successful. It's really going back to your point there of saying let's do the core things well. And if it then takes off, then you start to build on all the functionality.
The last issue that we're going to cover is GPS wins. So, when it was first released, the GPS was really inaccurate. Now, given that, as Ashley mentioned, it's a geolocation game, you have to be able to get to things, so your Pokestops or your Pokemon, etc., relatively easily. The last thing you want to be doing is just sort of wandering around endlessly until you actually, your phone has decided that you are at the place you thought you were. And in some cases, LG phones, the GPS was so terrible that it was basically completely unusable.
So, and this one reminded me of one of my favourite things about testing in a mobile context and quality in a mobile context is device fragmentation. So, in the Android world, there's 30,000 unique pieces of hardware which could probably run Pokemon Go, maybe, depending on smart meters and things like that. But it's interesting to test. But you literally cannot test on every single device and configuration, especially the Android world. The iOS world is fragmented more and more as that tool chain grows, as the number of devices grows. And I think it showed the real power of A/B testing, so releasing features to certain groups but not to others, to find out what the issues were, and to have a very gradual release of updates and new features. So there was an update yesterday for the new buddy system, which was rolled out so slowly. If you go on Reddit, everyone was going absolutely berserk about how slowly it had been rolled out.
What's the problem?
Yeah, exactly. They think the world was coming to an end. But essentially, I think Niantic learned those lessons. That in order to gauge your level of quality, very gradual release can give you a lot more intelligence before you just look into the wider world. I guess finally on this theme, so quality is on a continuum based on, you know, your brand and idea provides you a lot of elasticity of quality. If it's good enough, people are compelled enough and recognise the brand. So with Pokemon, I used to watch the cartoon many years ago, and a lot of people recognise the names and the imagery, and that's enough in order to allow, apparently, to allow forgiveness for all kinds of quality things, which again would probably ruin most other apps. But because they have that brand and idea, it made it very, very compelling and forgivable.
So, as Gav mentioned, none of you are getting off scot-free. You're going to have to do a workshop now. So, what has the product taught us about testing? We all know, because you're all testers, you've all got an opinion. When you play the game, you're going to have an opinion. And how would you have done things differently? So, we've got a few materials. We've got a fact sheet and a proposed architecture. I say proposed because we don't know what the architecture looks like. So,
I'm sorry.
you're just going to have to pretend that it is the architecture that they use for Pokemon Go. Sorry.
It's alright, don't worry about it.
Yeah. And yeah.
So this chap's called Down North. If you know about testing and development, hopefully you know who this chap is. Really bright guy. He's come up with loads of good ideas. His Agile Faster course is really interesting. He came up with a model called testing corners. So essentially, it's a variant of like Agile testing quadrants by Brian Markus and So essentially, if you think about this as your whole testing approach for a given problem. So you've got a given machine, so people driven and then automated, or however that takes its effect. And then you've got deterministic, as in I think I know what's going to happen at the end of this, and random, as in I don't really know, I'm going to place this system under stress and something's going to happen, but I need to find out what's going to happen. So the theory here is if you have tools and techniques in each of these quadrants, then you can go forward with some relative confidence that you have a nice balanced test approach and that you're going to find different types of issues. A lot of times you look at your testing and a lot of it might be over here, the deterministic part. So user journeys, for example. And then acceptance and integration tests. And then exploration for the human and random part. And then say fuzzing or spiders or the tool Netflix uses.
Chaos monkeys.
The chaos monkeys, to latency monkeys to bring down servers and slow them down. So essentially, it's about having a balanced test approach throughout. And then once you've decided on what techniques you might use, then you can put different types of tool in there. So I did this one for an Android test approach. So for example, in the random machine, there's a tool called Monkey Runner, which effectively ransacks your app and clicks on everything that it can click on. It launches all the views and just does that on whatever screen it's on. And then, yes, it always crashes. You have to slow it down. So essentially, what Markus and I want us to do is to gather into groups. There's actually quite a few in the room, might be a bit interesting. So maybe groups, what do you reckon? So gather into groups. People that you don't know, that you don't usually work with if you can. We've got some post-its, pens and papers which we'll dish out. And we'll work on a balanced test approach for the challenge of testing with Pokemon Go.
So I'm doing lightning talk here tonight. It's not going to be a full-length world talk like the previous two we had tonight. So bear with me, it's my first talk I've ever done, so If it's rubbish, I understand, give it a new draft, whatever. But for how I now. So, as part of my university project, for my final year project, it was to define an investigation to a certain topic. And after the operation, the test vehicle, which is known as 1010, included interest for software testing. So, my question, my dissertation purpose was, is there room for a new software testing process / methodology in the UK market? The UK market was just to indicate as a pinpoint location, but it could be global. So when I was researching into the field of software testing processes and methodologies, 3 key ones that I went into was the TDD, the test-driven development, and the BDD, behaviour-driven development, and TLI, which I'm actually a big fan of. Test maturity, model integration. So when I was concluding all this research from primary source of data, secondary sources, for about 8-9 months, I came to a common understanding that there was nothing primarily focused towards mobile testing. So there was no defined process around just issuing tests for mobile devices. Everything was more issued towards like a desktop or a broad approach against that. So what mobile testing, I take it, does everyone in the room know what mobile testing is? Raise your hands, I'm thinking to raise your hands. Yeah, so we've got like a few people who raise their hands. So yeah, mobile testing is a lot, it involves a lot of skill, arranged from something like mobile compatibility testing, from seeing if an application or an app is compatible on certain devices that the end user will be using. And also a key issue what I found was when actually looking at the methodologies was there was nothing in place to define the device coverage that was out there for it. So specifically from the previous methodologies and processes, it was all about common understanding that it was going to be executed against a desktop device, or that was the logic that was there when it was designed, the process was there. So there's nothing to counter these 3 main areas which I thought. So what software testing processes specifically for mobile testing? So that's the question for you guys. What software testing process is specifically for mobile testing?
Context-driven testing.
Okay. Anyone else?
Depends.
It depends. Right, okay. Anyone else? Okay. Alright, let's see, encounter the end usability of the actual product.
I wouldn't say it's specifically for mobile testing, but
Okay.
plays a major factor in it.
Right. Yep. And so, my conclusion was that there was room for a new software testing process that was ideally focused around mobile testing, because what I found was that there was nothing really out there that was keyly there to deliver all the key points that what I thought would be a good coverage of testing against mobile devices. Like I said, it was going to be short. So you guys want to get
Did not disappoint you.
And it was at the end. So
What's the answer?
yes, that's the answer.
What's the summary of your dissertation?
So my summary was that there was room for a new software testing process / methodology that keenly focused on mobile, because there was nothing that was tailor-made specifically for that.
Did you have to come up with that process for your dissertation?
No. It was just questions about the...
When are you going to write a book on it?
I'd love for you to come back to the next testers gathering and tell us what you think about
Next month,
thank you, Shiv, because it's really
Cheers, guys. Sorry.